Welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Brook Hiddink. I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur located in Dubai. Welcome to my first ever YouTube Q&A. Before we get into it, thank you for all supporting my channel. If you could please hit the subscribe button below, I greatly appreciate your support. By the end of 2023, we're trying to hit 100,000 subs. I know we are a very, very long way from hitting that at the moment, but all of your support is greatly appreciated. I really appreciate all of you. It's been a blast growing the channel so far. So for the first Q&A, if you want to get your questions answered next time on absolutely anything, be sure to hit subscribe and turn on my post notifications, and I'll put in the question document that you can ask in on my YouTube community. So I'll actually post it there. You'll be notified. You can submit questions on anything you want. And then I'm going to do these every week or two. I'll just paste all the questions I get in a Google Doc, and I'm going to go through them one by one and give you all responses. So we'll dive right into it now. Have my C4 energy drink to help me get through it. But question one, what is the average time from starting to becoming profitable with your students? So it really varies. I would say when we're starting with a B2C offer like this, we're starting from complete scratch for a lot of people. So they don't have any business background at all. So we're finding that kind of like 2-3K profit per month is usually happening in month 3 at the moment. But if people have existing business experience prior, like even if no ecom, like if they've run an agency or a brick and mortar business, they're hitting that in the first 6 weeks or so. So we're finding that the bottleneck isn't so much lack of ecom experience, it's lack of business experience. So if people have had businesses in the past and kind of know how mentally to handle it, they're seeing results very, very quickly. But overall, we're 4 months in now, and it's the people who started in the first month that pretty much the majority of them are starting to see results now, which is, it might seem like a little bit, but when you're starting from absolute scratch, a lot of the delay isn't really because you don't know what to do. It's more getting rid of your own mental roadblocks and negative thinking patterns and stuff that's holding you back. And once they can actually release those and just put the work in consistently for a couple months, the results are always there. And it's just it's more of a mindset thing than anything we're finding on our end as the coaches. It's not that we need to really teach a whole bunch of econ. Like we can give them the system, but we actually have to hold them accountable and make sure they're progressing and making sure they're doing what they signed up for over a long enough period of time. And that is actually the biggest bottleneck to results. It's not lack of knowledge or some special formula in terms of ecom. It's actually getting these people to do the stuff for a long amount of time so they actually see the results. Bit of a long-winded response, but I would say on average, people with business experience, with ecom experience within the first 4 to 6 weeks, people who are brand new, first ever business, usually around the 3-month mark, they start to see 2 to 3K a month profit and then kind of build up from there, obviously is the goal. What is your monthly expense in Dubai, and how much should one earn monthly to consider moving to Dubai? Big fan. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. So monthly expenses in Dubai, it really varies. I would say you want to be at least 10,000 US before you move here. At that point, you're not going to be living like a super luxurious lifestyle, but you can live well, just like you could in any other big city in the world for the most part. My expenses personally are around probably 15 to 20K on myself. So my apartment is about 6,500. It's really nice. It's about 1,100 square feet, beautiful view. It came fully furnished with Wi-Fi, hydro, fully ready to be moved into. So 6,500 is obviously expensive, but a lot of that was just for convenience on my end, having a fully furnished place, hydro, Wi-Fi, all just one expense. One weird thing about Dubai that you will want to keep in mind is oftentimes landlords will require you to pay the full year rent upfront in one go. Luckily, and very weirdly, my landlord for my place in Dubai is from the same city as me in Canada somehow. So we worked out something where I can pay in 4 installments every quarter. Still, whatever that works out to, 24 grand in 4 tranches. So some of them will require you to pay that fully up front. But in terms of what you would need to live here, I would say 10 grand. As soon as, I would guess that if you make 10 grand and you come here, that will soon turn into much more than 10 grand just from being the environment, the networking, all the opportunity here. It just really does make you think bigger. I'd say 10K is probably safe to move, but then I would imagine that would increase quite quickly. If you actually stay a bit disciplined and don't get distracted, because there's a ton of distractions here. So you could blow 10 grand and find yourself back home pretty quickly if you weren't careful. Do I pay taxes in the US? So for the most part, no, but I do have an economic nexus. So you can have to pay tax, sales tax in the US in two scenarios, an economic nexus or a physical nexus. Physical nexus means your business has a presence there. So you have a warehouse, you have employees, you have a shop, something like that. I obviously don't have that, but an economic nexus is a certain sales volume in a certain state in the trailing 12 months. So I have that, and I think a few different states now. So I think I'm registered for tax in about 5 US states, maybe 6. But I do pay taxes in some states, but I personally don't pay any personal tax there because I'm not from there. What is the minimum amount I need at the beginning? So I would say you could probably honestly get started with $300 or $400. You would just have to not rely on ads. You'd have to start. I have a video, actually, if you look at my channel, it's called How to Make Money Online with ChatGPT, e-commerce version. You could do something like that. You could post in Facebook groups, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, post in forums. There's all sorts of ways that you can get free traffic without, like SEO is the best kind of free traffic. That takes a long, long time to build up. So there are other ways that you can get free traffic right at the beginning. So I would say if you focus on that, $300 or $400 should be plenty to set up a business, get your Shopify account, everything that way. But ideally, if you're going to run ads, I would say you probably want about $1,000 to $1,500 to get everything going with an ads account. Do you think high ticket ecom will ever become saturated, or will it not? Do how much effort and skills is required to be put in? I don't think it will ever get saturated. I think certain niches will get saturated. So let's say if a new niche comes into play, then there will, everyone will be there'll be new stores and there'll be a couple main players in that niche, which will be very hard to overtake. And that's what grills is like right now. Like grills is saturated. Some really high-end players in that niche. You can still do well. And the other thing is saturation doesn't occur on the level of the product. It occurs on the level of supplier. So let's say grills is saturated, but let's say 3 new grill brands launched this year that have minimum retailers. If you become a retailer for those 3 grill brands that no one else is selling, then you won't face competition for those brands. So you have a saturated niche, but those brands that you're selling for aren't saturated because you're one of the only ones selling for them. And like I said, there's always going to be new niches. There's going to be new industries into perpetuity, forever. So if you take a newer niche, there won't be saturation there. If there's existing niches that have been around for a long time, then there's going to be some established stores that are very hard to overtake. So ideally, you want to find a newer, novel niche where there's not established stores yet and become that established store. Or carve a niche store out for yourself out of a broader niche. So instead of selling grills, sell Kamado grills and become the Kamado grill store. Instead of selling fitness equipment, become the rower store. Like you can carve out niche segments in these competitive industries and be more of a sub niche of that broader niche, but be the go-to person for that sub product type. So there's lots of ways to get around saturation. Have you cross-sold consumables with high ticket products, all in a home gym and then a supplement? I have not, but I do know stores that do that. So if you look at recoveryforathletes.com, they're a high-end wellness fitness store. They have fitness saunas, massage chairs, all that sort of thing. But they do sell supplements as well, and I know they do very, very well. So I would imagine, I haven't been doing it that long. You have to keep in mind, I've only been doing it for under 2 years. So I haven't had a lot of opportunity to pursue a lot of these like niche kind of one-off things, but that's definitely something I would be into in the future for sure. Will I ever release my Mastermind content as a separate course without the mentorship? I don't think so. And the reason for that is the Mastermind is actually shorter than the free course because it's meant to be done with you. Like the free course is more, this is all the information that you need to do on your own to succeed. The Mastermind is like, do X, Y, Z, meet with us. We'll tell you how you did, give you some feedback. Once we give you the go-to, you go do the next 3 things. So it's very like action back and forth done with you, where the free course is more just information. And I don't believe in selling information. Like I think at some point, maybe I'll have a course with like Google Ads, SEO, CRO, Shopify, business setup, niche selection, all in one course for, I don't know, $500 to $1,000 or something, but there still will be a community component to that on Discord or something. So there's coaching calls, you can get feedback still. My goal with my free content is to get people their first sale. I want them to see it's possible. I want them to get their business set up, their niche picked, their suppliers research, and make their first sale. My Mastermind content is more focused on going from your first sale to like 10K a month or 10K a month to 50K a month. And that stuff it wouldn't even be really valuable for me to release it for free because it would honestly probably cause more confusion because it's not really valuable to you until you get to that point of making your first sale, of hitting your first 5K profit month, whatever it is. So I kind of release free content geared towards beginners, people who haven't done that yet. And my paid masterminds are dealt with kind of like after that, like how do you take it to the next level? So I don't really think I will ever release that stuff. It's That's where the real value is, in my opinion. And my goal is to kind of get people to be able to get people to the point where they want to do that with free stuff. And if you want to just get quicker results and sign up as a beginner right away into the mastermind, you certainly can. You'll probably get faster results, but I know a lot of people can't afford that. So my goal is to kind of like help the people who are beginners at the beginning make some progress, see it's possible, and hopefully have them join later down the line to help them scale. Do you use PayPal? How do I deal with holds? I do use PayPal with my e-commerce store. I dealt with a lot of holds at the beginning. After a certain amount of time, after they see consistency with you fulfilling orders, submitting proof of purchase, whatever, they stop. So I don't have holds anymore. It took a few months. And in the meantime, I think I just put it on credit card and waited until I got the money. How to find suppliers for high ticket dropshipping. If you go to my channel, there should be lots of content, long form videos on this. And I actually have module 2 of my free YouTube course releasing this week. You can watch that. It's actually exactly how to find suppliers. 3 months in, I've only made 1 sale. What do I need to do to improve towards 4 or 5 sales a month? Very easy. Just add more suppliers that aren't competitive, add more niches that aren't competitive, just add more products to your store. Go to my video, how to make money online with ChatGPT Ecom version, implement some of that stuff. Depending what your ROAS is, if you've only made 1 sale, but you have like a 30x ROAS, you can increase your ad spend. If you're hovering around 10, which is where you want to be, then add more products, add more suppliers, optimize your website, do some free outreach, get some free traffic using the video I mentioned. But it's essentially just more of what you're already doing. I am a non-native English speaker and I can't close suppliers by myself. Is there an option to hire someone to do calls on my behalf? I've never done that, but my team actually from the Philippines does all our supplier outreach now. So I don't call suppliers anymore, they do it. So I would imagine you could do it and just teach them how to do it and maybe do some role play with them and stuff like that. I'm sure if you go on Upwork or Fiverr, there's probably just like, if you just type in cold caller, I'm sure there would be people who pop up. You just have to teach them the process as to what they're actually doing. But yeah, that's definitely an option. How do you train, monitor, and evaluate the performance of your VAs? So I'm a big believer you only need to train 1 VA. So you just work with them on Slack, on Loom, put together a guide of everything they need to know with videos and how-tos. But then once you train that 1 VA, that 1 VA should be able to train every other VA for you. So if you do a really, really good job with 1 person and build out systems on like Notion with like Loom videos and instructions, that person can then train everyone else. So that's how I train them, monitor them, and evaluate. We have certain KPIs. So for customer service, we have how long during business hours, what percentage of the phone calls who called us were picked up? How quickly were they picked up? How long between like the person calling and picking up? On chat, what was the average response time between person chatting and actually getting a response? Out of our abandoned checkouts, how many are we calling and closing? How many are we texting and closing? How many products are we adding per week? How many brands are we adding per month to the store? All these metrics that like, if we do these will lead to success. That's what we evaluate them on. And then there are just broader scale business ones. We have like our return on ad spend for the week, our sales for the week. Any chargebacks would be a bad thing. So just kind of all these KPIs that I have a sheet, and my main operations manager reports that sheet to me every week, kind of give me a summary of how everything's going. So that I can look at it for 3 minutes and have a good understanding of what is going on in the business and what needs to improve, if there's any issues, what's causing them, and have a very good understanding just from looking at the sheet. How to determine how much you can mark up the wholesale price. So we are usually told this. We list at MAP, minimum advertised price. So let's say MSRP, manufacturer suggested retail price is $10,000. MAP, minimum advertised price is $8,000. So we cannot list the price below $8,000. And our price, let's say, is $5,500. So we would sell it for $8,000. We would buy from the supplier for $5,500. We would keep $2,500 difference. MSRP is the compare out price. So if you see like 10,000 crossed out and the 8,000 is the price, 8,000 is the MAP, 10,000 is the MSRP, so it's a $2,000 sale. How to validate the selling point of over $1,000 and why $1,000? It's just an arbitrary number. Like you could sell something for less and do very well. It's just kind of like if you assume a 25% profit margin, which is pretty standard, that's $250 a sale. It's just like a good amount. In my courses and any other online courses, people will say things like, you want to have this price point, you want to have this much demand, but they're just kind of guidelines, and thinking like, oh, this product's $900, I can't sell it, is very like university thinking, like a multiple choice question. It's not like that. Like everything is nuanced. There's exceptions to everything. Just because I say $1,000 doesn't mean you should just automatically not think of anything below that. It's just like a general guideline of like, ideally you want to be over this because then you're making over 250 profit per sale. But if you find a really good product with super high margins below that, that's fine. Just do whatever works. It's just kind of like a general guideline. At what POAS should you target when you first start a Google Ads? I would say 2 is always a good target in POAS. Say a profit is $100, would you start at $1 bids? I wouldn't think about your bids. I would think about your CPC. So you can start at $1 bids, but then be analyzing, okay, I'm bidding $1. What am I paying per click? If the click is 20 cents, then you can increase the bid and just kind of keep an eye on your CPC more so than your bid, because that's what actually matters. If your profit is $100 per sale, then that's very low. Let's say we had a $5,000 product and it was 25% margin. That would be $1,250 profit. So in your low campaign, your specific products, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can send it to my free course below. I'm just going to answer this person's question. It might not make sense out of context, but I would say you should convert at a minimum 1 of every 200 people in your low campaign. So 0.5% conversion rate. So if you then assume you want a 2 POAS and your profit is $1,250, that gives you $625 to make the sale here. So then I would divide 625 by 200, and that would be approximately $3 per click. So you could, not that you bid $3 per click, you could bid 4, 5, 6, it doesn't matter. You just want to look at your CPC and make sure that it is around $3. I hope that answers the question. In your Google Sheet, you have a column named $1,000 press selling point. In your Kajabi video, you mentioned you were to validate 1 product and do not care for a second. I just did in the Kajabi video just as an example, just because if I did 10 products, it would have taken like 3 hours. So I just did 1, but for a store, you should be doing 10. You want to have a collection of like 10 products that are over $1,000 and meet that criteria. I just did 1 so the video wasn't extremely long and gave you an example of what you should do for all of them. What do you mean exactly by product type? Is the product type infrared oven or the name with the model? So an infrared oven, well actually an oven would be the product type, or an infrared oven would be the product type, but then there would be like an infrared oven, I don't know if there's, to give you a better example, sauna would be the product type. An infrared sauna would be a sub-product of sauna. A barrel sauna would be a sub-product of sauna. So you have your like higher level product, sauna, and then you can have multiple sub variations of it. You could have a grill, but then you could have a charcoal grill, a barbecue grill, a Komodo grill. Like that's what kind of what I mean. You want to have like, you'll have like main product types, but then you could have sub variations of those. Yeah. So the demand would then be on the main one. So sauna. When do you want to check demand? Is it for the brand or product? You want to do both. So you want to check the product type has a good level of demand, but then when you're evaluating your suppliers in step 3, supplier research, you also want to see if the supplier has branded demand, because that is indicative of a good supplier. So you want to check demand for both the product type first when you're doing your market research and picking your niche, but then once you pick your niche and you're finding suppliers in your niche, you do want to check branded demand for your suppliers as well. For minimum advertised price, is it typically considering only the product? So when we define it as a product type, or take a vision about the brand that works with the map. So map is on the brand level. So you could have multiple brands in a niche. Some would enforce map, some wouldn't. Certain niches will have more suppliers that enforce map, generally speaking, but map is enforced at the supplier level. To define map, we take the name of the product. So we have many tabs with various number of comparisons, with 1 with 3, 1 with 10, 1 with 20. Just try and find a trend of the same price for that brand. So if you type in a brand, let's say Infinity Massage Chair, you'll type in Infinity Massage Chair, find one of their massage chair names. So an example is Infinity IT 8500, a specific product from Infinity. Type Infinity IT 8500 into Google Shopping and then compare price from multiple stores and see if you find a trend. If there's one store below map, it doesn't matter. Just see like, is there a trend of all these stores? Is there like a same price that most of them are listing at? And if yes, then that indicates map. I will come to Dubai for one-on-one coaching live. That would be incredible. I would love that. Please do. What do you do when a supplier says you need to arrange shipment? Most of the time, that is not a good sign. I still do it for some to give us really good margins. Out of, I would say 70, 80 suppliers, we probably do this for 4, like very little. And I just use a broker called Freight Club. So it essentially shows you the prices from a whole bunch of carriers. So you can pick the cheapest one and buy insurance right on the platform and stuff. I have heard their insurance is a bit spotty and hard to get your money back, but I usually just get it, and I haven't had to actually use it yet, surprisingly, but I use Freight Club. Do you negotiate margins with suppliers? Yes. So after you should negotiate first. Like when you call a supplier and you close them, be like, when you get the price sheet, say, hey, like, is there opportunity to increase my margins as my sales increase? Most of the time they'll say yes. Maybe they'll give you the amount, but then usually once you make your first couple sales, you're in a better position to ask for more than they gave you originally. So yeah, you definitely always want to be negotiating this with your suppliers. How did you manage your accounts on Wise? More information about organizing. So look, I admire the want to be organized, but when you're starting a business, all you need is a checking account. It would be better to focus on getting suppliers, figuring out ads, and making sales. And once you actually have sales coming in, then worry about being organized, because there's very little to organize if you don't have sales coming in. So make the sales first, then worry about being organized. And on Wise specifically, you can use jars. So I have like a parent account, and then you can like separate out like credit card bill, inventory for supplier X, ad expenses, and then pay off your credit card at the end of the month with your pre-allocated expenses in jars. But again, I wouldn't get too caught up in this. Like it's almost a form of procrastination, trying to be everything perfectly organized right at the beginning. So it would be a better approach is to kind of like learn the actual ecom side of things, get sales, and then worry about the organizational aspect as you go, as you have sales coming in, would be my recommendation. Do you offer extended warranty for products? And is that through the supplier or you? So it's both. So the supplier will have a warranty for 5 years, and then I will offer an extended warranty. So if something breaks after the 5 years, the 2 to 3 years after that, we would offer the warranty, and we would just cover any parts that break from after the supplier warranty. So you can upsell it. Can you walk us through your first experience closing a supplier, what it may look like? Yeah, so you just want to call them. I have a video on this, how to close suppliers, on my YouTube channel. Watch that, but essentially just want to call them. So it's like call a brand. I would say, hey, it's Brook from store xyz.com. I was doing some research, and we really think we'd love to sell your stuff. Can you please tell me the process for becoming an online retailer? Then they'll say, yeah. They may ask you like, what's your ad strategy? What's your SEO strategy? What are you going to do for us? You can tell them like, this is what I'm going to do. I want to focus on SEO, content marketing, bringing new customers to your business that wouldn't have heard of you otherwise. Just kind of like it'll vary depending on each one, but they usually say, okay, cool, send us over some information on your business. At that point, you want to do a pitch deck, which is all in my free course. So just watch my free course. I'll link it below. There's a module on closing suppliers, but that's exactly kind of like what I would recommend. It's just going to be way more effective for you to go through the free course than me try and explain everything here. Do you have a knowledge base in your chat app? No. So we usually just prompt them and then try and connect them with a live person right away. I'm assuming as AI improves that will be something we do, but not right now. How many people are in my coaching program? So I think there's about 150. Many of those have business partners. So I think there's like 100 businesses. If you do want to join and you have a business partner, you would both be let in for the cost of one. We do it by businesses. So I think there's about 100 right now, approximately, maybe a bit more. Have you had periods where sales fluctuate, or has it always been steady growth? From my first 8 months, we really went to like over 600,000, and then we had a decline after that, which is kind of honestly consistent with the whole ecom industry. But more so the focus now is sales aren't growing a ton, but we're worried about kind of optimizing our profitability. So like, how can we go from 10x ROAS to 15 to 20x ROAS and make up those sales using SEO? So not really a huge growth period for me right now, especially I'm very busy with the coaching business, but my store honestly now is a long-term play for me. Like I'm not worried about making $10,000 a month with the store right now. It's like, how can I make high leverage plays to turn this into a $50 million company in the next 10 years? So that's kind of where my thinking is with the store. Like I'm not super active in the daily ad account trying to like make more sales tomorrow. It's like broader picture speaking, what can I do to turn this into a real asset 10 years from now? As I'm removed from the business, I'm focusing on coaching, learning, connecting with people, learning about ecom. But my focus isn't like how to make money now. It's more like, what can I do to really build this into an asset in the future? So I'm taking a longer term view. I'm not really worried about like short term fluctuations or like driving my sales and profitability right now. I want to obviously grow it, but taking a longer term view with myself removed from the actual business right now. Does your course show you how to sell brands we create from scratch? So no, because I've never done it, but it's very easy. I can give you some recommendations if that's something you want to do, but it's honestly very easy. I know the process. Essentially, you just got to find a good broker, and you just got to have your books in order. So you want to have your books in order. Ideally, you out of the business. If you're required in the daily business the whole time, not going to be easy to sell. But if you're out of the business, you have your books in order, your finances in order, It's very easy. You just got to find a broker and they'll kind of help you arrange it, much like you're selling a house. Did I initially come to Dubai on a 2-year freelance visa or a mainland or freehold company? So I came on an investor visa for a freehold company. So I set up my company here in Dubai, and then I'm an investor in my company that I set up here. And am I planning to purchase a 2 mil AED property to get the 10-year golden visa? Probably at some point, yes. You can't really get anything too nice for 2 mil AED. So I'll probably wait and save up and purchase something, maybe a house on the Palm on the beach or something, but those are obviously, I think, north of 10, if I had to guess, maybe even more. But not in, I'll probably rent for at least the next year or two. When you say you make $20,000 a day, are you making $20,000 profit or $20,000 sales? Definitely not profit, usually sales, but that will vary. So every brand that we work with varies in profitability. So some are 15%, some are 50%. So it could be anywhere from like 4,000 to 10,000. It just really varies. And that's kind of any business. Like everyone says like, those are your sales, what's your profit? It's like every business's revenue is not their profit. Like that's every single business in the world. And it's really difficult to answer because profitability varies by niche. Some niches are very high margin, like 40, 50%. Others are very low margin. Every supplier is different. So it's impossible to just be like, this is how much I make profit on my sales because every single sale is different. On average, it's about 25% net after you pay for cost of goods sold and shipping on average over my whole store. But again, some suppliers are 50%, some are 10%. If you have a very niche store that sells only fire pits, for example, you might have 40%. So there's no straight answer that's gonna apply to the whole ecom industry or business in general. So any business will have their sales. Then if it's an agency, they're gonna have to pay their people, they're gonna have to pay for their softwares, they're gonna have to pay for all this stuff, and then they'll have their profit. And ecom's no different, except the cost is coming from the product, not like people and softwares and everything like that. So yeah, to answer the question, it's sales. Best strategy for converting abandoned checkouts. So obviously have your email flow set up, and then I would recommend, if you have consent, text them. You have to get that at checkout when they sign up. I would always kind of in your email flow offer them something, discount, free gift if they purchase. But yeah, follow up through text, phone call can be very, very helpful. If I had to start a new store, what niche would I pick? I would probably pick something expanding that I think is going to grow in the next 10 years. So something like solar, electric vehicles, electric vehicle charging stations, some sort of like home healthcare technology stuff. All this kind of thing I think is going to be expanding in the coming 10 years. So I'd pick something there. But again, it's really varies. Like I truly believe you can make any niche work. It just depends. Like if you want immediate profitability, then picking something competitive isn't going to be the best idea. But obviously the competitive niches have the most demand a lot of times. So for me now, if I was starting a store, I wouldn't be taking like, I need this money to pay rent next week. I would be taking like, what can I see being good in 10 years from now? Even if it's competitive now, what are people always going to need? What can I build up an SEO asset into a real thing over the next 10 years, even if it takes longer and it's more work? Where do I see the most opportunity on a 10-year scale, not on a 2-month scale? So if I was starting from scratch with a goal of like escaping a job or something, I would pick something that there's a lot of demand for, not a lot of competition for, that's like a newer industry. But for me now, in reality, if I was starting a store, I would pick something, I'm not really sure. I honestly would probably just pick something broad and really try and turn it into a big asset, either in like the outdoor, recreational niche or the home niche like I have now, like something a little bit more broad, which is exactly what I'm doing with my own store, to be honest with you. How do you scale your Google ads? So you can spend more with the same brands, you can add more brands, or do both. So you want to maintain a good ROAS, return on ad spend. So if you are above 10, then I would say spend more on your current brands. If you're below 10, cut back your spending and add more brands. And you can obviously scale campaign types. So if you have Google Shopping, you can add Google search text, you can add display remarketing, you can add discovery remarketing, you can try PMAX. I wouldn't do PMAX unless you have at least 30% landed margins, but you want to add more campaign types, more brands, and add more spend would be the 3 ways to kind of scale, with the caveat that you want to make sure you're maintaining your profitability and your return on ad spend. But that was all the questions for this time, guys. So again, if you want anything at all answered next week, hit subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'll put a question link on my community section on my YouTube account. So if you have any questions at all, you can go in there and ask. I'll answer anything and everything, and we'll just do the same thing as last time. We'll just paste it in a Google Doc and rip through them one by one. But thank you for your support. I really appreciate all of you. Really enjoy growing the channel and building a community. So thanks a lot, guys, and I will see you soon. Have a great day.